So I'm just trying to get my Delica through an MOT, and I found there's a lot of play in the wheel bearings. I had a quick look online and I've managed to find that you can tighten the wheel bearings. So I've taken all the gubbins off that you can see down here. It's just this plate held on by a little circlip right here, and the circlip's just under this cover. So take that cover off, take the circlip off, take these 14mm bolts off, take this little lock ring off with the little screws in there, and then you get to this stage on that. It's pretty easy, honestly. Then you find this ring. So this ring is the actual tension on the bearing. It's a taper bearing. So I was looking online for tools to fit this taper bearing. I was really struggling to find anything. The only thing I could find was $100 from the US. So I've decided to make my own instead. So I'm just going to show you guys how I'm making my own. Obviously we need something to just fit these slots here and turn, because as you can see, this whole thing turns and tightens and loosens the pressure on the bearing. So I'm just going to make a quick tool just to do that, and I'll show you guys how I did it. So to make this, you're going to need a couple of tools. Should be pretty simple, really. You're going to need 2 bolts. You're going to need a bit of flat stock. This is just going to make the sort of cross brace of the tool. You're going to need a sacrificial socket. I've just chosen an imperial socket because we don't really use imperial here. This is going to get cut in half, so yeah, obviously don't pick a socket you want to use. You're going to need a grinder, and you're going to need a welder, and that's pretty much about it. So I've just chucked these in, just made sure they definitely fit. As you can see, they just slot in there nice. Now I've just run this up against it and checked where it fits. I'm just going to use these dots as markers. I'm going to drill these holes out and put these through it, weld them in place, and they should do the job just fine. So as you can see, I've just punched out these marks on here. Now I'm just going to drill it out. I'm going to start with a small bit and then work up to an 8mm, I think is the correct size for this, but I'll see how it goes. So I just went and got the ring out of the Delica, which I just got off by using this tool and just cranking it by hand. If they're as loose as mine, then that shouldn't really be an issue. If not, you could put a bar over the end of this or something like that, whatever you want to do. The reason that I did that is so that I can make sure these line up properly, because if you're not a very good measurer like me, you need to leave a bit of slop in these so that they can change their size. So you can see I almost got it spot on, but they're a little bit in. So I need to just make sure that they fit properly when they go back together. So I'm just going to start by welding these up. What I'll probably do is weld these and then compare them to the ring that I took out of the Delica, and then I'll just tack them to begin with, and then I'll bend them into the correct shape and then weld them permanently. So I got these close to the right spot, and then I just shoved the ends in here and welded them up properly. As you can see, they've come out a little bit squint, but I think it'll be okay. I'm going to weld around these properly, weld on both sides, make sure they're real strong, and then I'm going to cut the socket in half and chuck that in the middle and just weld it up. It doesn't need to be perfectly centered. So this is what we've ended up with. Obviously this is just the 3/8 socket cut in half and then welded on the middle, and then the 2 bolts welded onto the plate. I'm just going to tidy this up and it'll be ready to go. So that's the final product. Don't judge me too much for the welding, it's not the best, but yeah, I'm working with what I've got. As you can see, it's not particularly complicated, pretty simple to make, but it does the job. Does the job it was intended to, fits perfect, so you know, what more could you ask for? If you do find that the welding has made these warp slightly, you can always put them in a vise and just squish them together, or hit them out with a hammer or whatever. Mine turned out okay actually, so this is what I'm going to end up using. But yeah, I think that's about everything you need to know. So I'm just going to quickly show you this in action. As you can see, it just slots in there. If you use an extension, it gives you a bit more room to work on. But you can see it works just fine. Perfect.